All right, we got to plug the forge in. Ho, ho, ho. We have takeoff. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, look at there. I'm going to start wearing it around like Flava Flav, baby. You guys probably aren't old enough to know who Flava Flav is. No, I ain't a blacksmith. Sure ain't. Stick around, you'll find out. I'm going to need a different set of tongs, though, I can tell you that. These ones aren't going to work for this little project. I think I better turn that heat down a little bit. Blow myself out. What time is it? Hammer time! You like that? I'm doing a long video of it today. Let me go get another set of tongs. I got to be careful not to melt my necklace. So, yes, I am a blacksmith. 36 years I've been doing this. I just got to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, as you can see. So, we're going to do some celebratory evening forging while the internet is good. If you're into it, subscribe. If you're not, I get it. It ain't everybody's cup of tea. But it's kind of cool. You can buy my stuff, Etsy store, Cody Iron Works. Can you see the sign? Sign right there. Cody Iron Works. What am I drinking? I am drinking Diet Dr. Pepper right now. I haven't even hit it. It's too early to hit the hard stuff. We're going to have a dance party up in here. Watch this. Oh, yeah, look at there. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, yeah. Mark there down. Ooh, I got plenty of heat in that fire now, boy. I went from 0 to 100 there. Shut that down a little bit. Wow. Kind of went all out. Woo, look at there. Holy moly. Sucker's plenty warm. Shoes are really good. What's everybody doing? Thank you very much. If you could forge some glasses so you can start conversations about it, making you more business. That's because I'm a gangster. The OG. You got to be at least as old as Snoop Dogg to be an OG. And me and Snoop are just almost the same age. I think he might be a little older than me. There we go. We'll get the flashes going there. Boom, boom. I got to be careful I don't melt it in the forge. You're 63. Yeah, I'm 53. That's my 100,000 subscriber play button, boy. And I'm wearing it like Flava Flav because it took me a long time to get it. The edges on this 100-year-old anvil are almost too good. They leave sharp edges on my stuff. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. That's his nose. There's his mouth. There's his ear. Now, where did I put the punch for his eyes? Got me an eye punch here someplace. Yeah, I thought I did. Yeah, I have to go get it. Might have left it over in the other forge. Stand by. Stand by. Need one more punch. Get over there. So what we're doing right now, I'm working on a couple of horse faces in the ends of a horseshoe. Get a little more fuel. Get a little fuel gathered up. No, I'm not making food. No food tonight. However, I do cook on this once in a while because I use charcoal sometimes. I wonder where the hell the punch went to. There you can see him. Here or there. We'll use that. That's his nose. Here comes his mouth. I don't knock him off of there. Here comes his little ear. We're going to use this punch for his eye. Like that. And we'll give him a little brush. There's his little face. Pretty cool. Now I got to do the other side. Generally, you put two things in the forge at once, and that way you can be heating one up while you're working on the other one. Generally start with the nose first. Little artistic thing. Yeah. I don't necessarily like that eye very much. Be able to doctor it a little. I got a better eye print somewhere, but it's dark out here and I can't see it now. All right, so see how I changed the shape of that shoe, and I want them kind of round. Actually, I might make this one into a hoof pick, so we might just cut him in half. Cut that one in half. Now I've given up some of my heat. Questions? Might have. It's going to get really scratched up because I haven't even worn it to town yet. Everybody already thinks I'm crazy and Cody. Wait until they. We're doing a decorative horseshoe horse heads right now that you can use for all different kinds of stuff. Let me get this one up here and then I'll show you. I'm not crazy about this high punch. I've got a better one. There you can see him kind of. Yeah. So we'll probably reshape this one into a regular horseshoe. I use them a lot for hoof picks. In fact, that's what we're going to do in this with this other shoe. I'm going to do a hoof pick. So let's see. I need a Hardy tool in the Hardy hole. I'm going to take this horseshoe. I'm going to put it in there like that. And you cut them in half like that. I'll pick up his brother down here. Thank you. Appreciate it. Could you do this at home? It depends on where you live. I live in the middle of an industrial area, so it's 8, almost 9 o'clock, and nobody cares here. But where you live, they might care. Depends on where you're at. If you live in a condo, I seriously doubt you're going to get away with it. So he'll make a very nice toilet paper holder back or something. I do a lot of wall hooks out of them. We'll just leave him over here and let him cool off a little bit. Got to be careful because I don't want to burn up my work here. Pretty easy to do. Tell I'm losing my heat because the metal doesn't move as good when it starts cooling down. The good thing about doing this at night is you can really watch your colors. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you could then. As long as you don't catch nothing on fire. That is a concern. I do make a lot of knives, couple hundred a year. I'm doing a big long tapered draw out on this. Till my anvil face gets warm, it works like a big heat sink, and it sucks the heat out of that material, especially when it gets small like that. As you draw it down, you gotta heat it up more often until your anvil gets hot. This is a hay button from probably about the turn of the century, and somebody remachined the horn on it, and so the horn it's nice and round, which is a very rarity in an anvil that's 120 years old. You don't ever see them like that. You can tell a hay button pretty much because boy do they ring. It's sitting on a whole bunch of glue lambs. So that's 3 big 2x6 glue lambs that are all threaded together. That stand was actually made by an old machinist buddy of mine. I got it from him. Yeah, this anvil has a lot of history. Actually, this anvil came from Alaska. This anvil was found on the beach in Nome, Alaska, about 30 years ago. And it ended up back here in Wyoming. All right, we're getting some progress now in this. See how I'm drawing that out? And then we're going to put a big hook in it. Yeah, that's how I got started. Hello! Is shoeing horses about 35 years ago. Oh yeah, here we go. We got plenty of heat now. All right, let's see what we can do here. These horseshoes are a little big for my trunks. Well, that turned out all right. So there it is. That's the finished hoof pick. It's for cleaning out the feet on the bottom of a horse when before you shoe them, or if you're riding in bad conditions. The horse's feet will gather rocks. And so my shtick is making stuff out of other stuff. So now we're going to use one of these 9-inch nails. And we're going to do something with it. Thanks. I earned it, as Smith Barney would say. I earned it. Earned it. If you're interested in the blacksmithing or old tools, or any of that kind of stuff, I kind of specialize in that. That's what my channel is about. I don't know what the heck that is. I do not speak German, I'm afraid. I know about 3 words, and none of them are appropriate for YouTube's. When you're drawing stuff out like that, even if it's going to be round in the end, you want to draw it out square and then round it up. Because if you go a lot faster moving material on a flat than you do on a round. So, yeah, I do all kinds of bracelets. Here's one I did for myself a while back. I do a lot of them. I actually sell them once in a while on the Etsy store. Gotta be careful so I don't burn up my work here. Oh yeah, we're plenty hot there. Oh, that set of tongs was too big for that. I'm gonna have to go get another set of tongs. Those ones ain't gonna work. More tongs. It's about the second thing a guy ought to learn how to make is tongs. If you're going to be doing this, you really you need to know how to make your own tools. See how I did that on the square first? So that fire, I can't even shut down the heat. I can't even turn the damn thing down. I've got her shut down about as far as I can get it shut down. And I still got plenty of heat in that fire. All right, here we go. My little fire pot is pretty small, so I can't really get the whole thing in the forge hot because I got such a small fire pot. So you gotta heat. I can eat about 6 inches at a time is all I can heat up. Okay, so that's where we're at with that. So now I'm going to draw that out, come around. So that started as that, like that. And now we'll work on the leaf part of that here in a minute. But I think I might be able to get enough heat out of this. Yep, got it. We're going to put a big S-bend in this. If you want to see the finished work, you can go to and just watch the videos, both shorts and longs, or you can go to my Etsy page, my Etsy shop, and you can see the work there. Okay, there's our basic leaf shape. There it is right there. That's the basic leaf shape. Now here's where it gets tricky, where I'm out here and I don't have a vise set up. So you can blacksmith without a vise, but if you're going to do production work, you almost got to have a vise. It's just how it goes. You pretty much need to have a vise. So I use one of these wire brushes with a handle. A lot of guys like a real coarse brush, but I'm doing finish work, right to forge to finish, so I don't mess. I just use like you'd use for scraping paint off a house. All right, there's another finished one. You see him there? There, you can see him. His little happy little horse face. I have made a lot of crowbars. What's that, pimpin'? Can you make a steam locomotive? No, but I can set rivets, and that's a big part of doing a steam locomotive is setting rivets. Okay, now watch this trick. This is where you got to be the OG to do this little trick. Watch this, because you got to use both legs and both arms. Watch this. This is See the little leaf there? So now, really, if I was really going to do something with that, I'd need to have another, I need to have another hammer. I need a ball peen to do the edge of that. We'll figure it out. Yeah. Can I make a starter motor? No, sorry, I cannot. I've never tried and I'm not going to attempt it. I can take a starter motor out of something else and put it in something else. But as far as making one, I wouldn't even attempt it. Thanks. I think you require an electrical engineer for that, not a dirty damn blacksmith like me. Yeah, I've made a lot of hammers. A lot of hammers. But I can make stuff cooler than hammers. I also make axes. So if you can make an axe, you can make a hammer. A hammer's easy. Yes, I did make both of these. And just for you World of Warcraft guys. So there's your hammer. That's a piece of iron. I actually made that one out of iron, old rebar. 150-year-old rebar. Okay, so I want this leaf to look like a leaf. He's flat right now. So I'm going to kind of give him some dimension. Something like that. Something like that. Yes, it is. I don't do swords. I don't do swords. My forge is this big. I only do stuff that big. In order to do swords, it requires a big forge, a lot of specialty tools. Nobody would want to pay me what I would have to do a sword, so I do knives. And I'm afraid I don't have any to show you because I took them all down to the art league, and I donated the last of the knives that I had in this shop today for a friend of mine who has cancer, and I gave them to for his benefit. That's on the list. I've helped make gun barrels, but I've never done one myself. And that's on the list one of these days if I don't run out of years. I'm 36 years into this deal though, so I don't know how many more years I have in me, maybe 20. I've turned down Forged in Fire twice. They wanted me to do they wanted me to do the knives, and then they had this other thing they were going to do, but it was right in the end of COVID, and they wanted a group of guys, and the guys I wouldn't, and the guys I was with, they wanted to force us to wear masks, and I wasn't going to do that. Here's what nobody understands about Forged in Fire. You only win, you only get paid if you win. So. No, I didn't do my journey. I did my journey in for farrier work. And during that time in my farrier work, to get my degree in farrier work, we had to make hoof knives. So I did, and that's a pretty complicated, a hoof knife is a pretty complicated knife to build. So if you can build a hoof knife and get it tempered right. No, I ain't Jesse James. I'll leave making the 1911s to Jesse James. Can you imagine the insurance you'd have to do that? I can't even imagine how much insurance you'd have to be making guns. Can't even imagine. It's bad enough with knives because people are stupid. That's a big old piece of coke. I shouldn't have pieces of coke that big. They should be much smaller than that. That one doesn't like to burn in the forge. Too big. Thank you. So now I'm going to have to do a little courtesy bend because my forge isn't big enough, so I got to get more of the steel hot. So you put a little bend in it, and then you can get more of it in the fire pot. So I drew that out square, and then I knocked the corners down so you end up with an octagon. And then I knock those corners down, and as I roll it, I'm taking the hammer marks out. This fire is hot, I'm telling you. I got to be very careful. Okay, so I'm almost there on that one. Good thing about using a coal forge is it's so quiet. Generally, I'm using that big gas forge that I got back there in the back of the shop. But I like to do this when I'm doing my lives because it's so quiet. There's 1,000 guys that do leaves, and everybody does them just a little different. And if you're paying attention, you can tell who's doing what. Yeah, that's funny. Of course, I burn myself almost every day. It just goes with the territory. If you look at my videos, if you watch my videos, including my short videos, you'll see my hands and you'll see all the speckles. Under a black light, it's almost comical how many times I've burnt myself. And this is 36 years I've been blacksmithing. I started in 1980, 88, and 89 is when I started. And I went to farrier school in 90 and 96. Now I don't have most of my tools out here, so we're going to improvise this. I'm not going to go gather up all the dang tools. We're going to improvise it. Okay, so here we go with that. Here we go with that thing about being. This is the hardest thing I ever teach anybody is managing this set of tongs. This is the hardest thing for everybody to learn how to do. So I'm going to take those tongs, I'm going to put them between my legs. I just put the vanes in. See the vanes? Okay, so now, let's see if I can do this trick. Well, I didn't have him in the right heat, so I'm going to have to start again. It's a fine line. If you're getting into this, don't start with a coal forge, start with a gas forge, because learning how to manage this is about the second hardest thing. So tong control, managing a coal fire, it's very hard to do. Well, I'll tell you what happened with me is during COVID, my business was dying, and Reddit happened to be letting you go live on Reddit. And so I'd get up early in the morning, about 6 o'clock, and I'd be forging anyway, and I'd go live during Reddit during that time of the day, and sometimes there'd be 600,000 people in my live stream. One time I had almost 800,000 people watching me, and it was like, wow, that's really cool. And of course it didn't pay, Reddit didn't pay, so, but it was good. I learned a lot. So this is where this big long set of tongs comes in handy. See how I can reach, they call these a set of bolt tongs. See how I can reach over that work? And you'll see why that's important in a minute. Okay, so now I kind of sculpted him up there. I didn't get too crazy. Sometimes you can really make them dramatic. But you got to be really careful because you can burn up your work in one of these coal forges. It gets so dang hot. And because it's this dynamic thing, the heat is always changing. And so you really got to watch what you're doing, or else you end up burning up your work. You got to be really careful. You might, if I get to not paying attention tonight, you might actually watch me do it. Because this little stuff I'm doing, it's very easy to burn it up. Yeah. So, but it's taken me since COVID. It's taken me 4 years to get to 100,000 on YouTube. Hence the reason I wear it around, like when I got it. I'm like, yeah, we're going to show that off because it was hard earned. It was hard earned. I don't have any grandkids. I have a 20-year-old son who looks like a Viking, and he never knew who Flava Flav was. And you guys are probably not old enough to know who Flava Flav is, but Flava Flav used to wear a big clock. And that's where I got the idea. Sure. He lives right here in Cody. I'll leave him to doing the $3,000 knives. Thank you very much. About my most expensive knives are about $500. I'll do a $500 knife once in a while, but in fact, I got one coming up here. But see, Dennis only does one thing. He makes knives. That's it. He doesn't do axes. He doesn't do tools. He doesn't shoe horses. He doesn't do interior stuff. He just does knives, and that is great. I'm not critiquing him, but I'm kind of a general all-around blacksmith. I do everything. I know, Flav. Yeah, well, good luck with not burning yourself in this job. It's kind of like being a welder. You're gonna burn yourself. See, I can only heat up about that much of that, so I gotta keep on keeping on here. That's called a courtesy bend when you do that. I actually know, I have met Dennis several times. He's Western Hands here in Cody, and we have crossed at those events. He's I think he's a kind of an old Cody family, I think. If I'm not mistaken. All right, so there's the wall hook. There's the wall hook. Try so you guys can see that. Getting pretty dark out here. So careful, NJ, don't burn up your stuff. That's what I'm going for, is that shape. All right. So you want knives, huh? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do you a knife-shaped object out of one of these horseshoes I did earlier. I don't know how long I've been on for. I can tell that my forge is slowing down. There's a clinker building up in the bottom of that tweer. And the clinker is the part of the fuel that won't burn up all the way. It's the metal part, and it stays down in the bottom of there. I might have to turn my air up a little bit. Like I said, you got to know how to manage the fire, and that's a whole thing to learn in itself. Totally different from the blacksmithing. Do a hook for a horse. I am in Cody, Wyoming, born and raised 5 generations. Yes, ma'am, or sir, or Jesse, or whoever that was. Yes, I was born and raised here. I was an artist in residence down in Utah for several years, and I came back. I do give lessons and I do give demonstrations occasionally, and if somebody's needing somebody to do some blacksmithing someplace around the United States, I will even do that. If you've got a club and you want me to come and demonstrate, I will happily do that. Do a hook for a horse. I don't exactly know. Wow. There's a lot of gold in Yellowstone. Not most people don't know that. I have done quite a bit of panning up there myself when I was younger, via horseback. My father used to help pack into those minor claims. Well, there's one divot. Now I got to get the other one in. I didn't quite have enough of it in the fire. All right, so let's put a hardy in the hardy hole. Hardy. Hardy hole. Tongs. Oh yeah, plenty of heat. Ta-da! It kind of gets like, frozen, like really frozen ice cream, and it works kind of like frozen ice cream when you get the steel hot. Hi, Mr. Cowboy. Hello, Mr. Galaxy. Well, that one is, we're going to do a knife out of this other one, a knife-shaped object. We're not going to do a knife. We're going to do a knife-shaped object. Please, if you like what I'm doing, subscribe, please. I'd appreciate it. I don't do a lot of talking in my videos, mostly. It's more descriptive stuff. I kind of show step by step what I'm doing. In the longer videos and the short videos, I kind of break it up. Sometimes we get a little funny. This was a little funny today. I just posted this video today. Let me finish this. Let me finish this other wall hook that I'm doing. Okay. So now we'll do kind of get the shape of this. Oh yeah. Ooh. We kind of got to straighten this sucker out. He's a little crooked. Let's start. So what I'm doing there is I'm hanging that edge of that knife blade over so I can overrun my hammerhead a little bit, because you can't get it if you're out here on the face. So that allows me to overrun that a little bit, and I can get the taper right. You kind of see the taper. Oh, there goes my high fire getting hot again. Turn that heat down. Don't want to burn up my work. I'm getting it almost to forging temperature as it is. A good anvil isn't just one tool. I kind of use it for measuring. I use it as a square because the corners are square. You can get along without an anvil, but boy, it's sure a lot easier to do this work if you have one. I've shot a lot of horses on the receiver hitch of a pickup, but it's a lot easier to bend cold horseshoes if you've got a good tool. All right, there's the second wall hook done. So the stuff that I build tonight, the stuff that I'm building, will probably be on the Etsy store tomorrow or next day. Tomorrow's Sunday, so I might lay off tomorrow, go see the girlfriend. But and there is a link in my homepage. Yeah, I'll show you. So I've got one taper. I laid one, when I laid that on there, I laid one taper in this way, and now I'll have to come around on the other side of the anvil and do the other side, because this is the best edge on this anvil. So I'll come in here like this. So there you go. See how I laid the taper in on that? That gets you about 90% there, if you can do that. But you have to have very good hammer control. You have to have a good face on both your hammer, and your anvil has to have a nice face on it, because every time you go have a declivity in either your hammer or the face of your anvil, you leave those marks in your work. And of course, if you're hammering that edge in, then what ends up happening is you don't have enough material when you go to grind to take out all of the imperfections that the hammer and the anvil face put in. So you got to be a little careful about that. That's why a lot of guys do most stock removal. I do a couple hundred knives a year, and how I can get away with doing that is I forge them. You can't see it from here, but back there in the corner, oh, you can kind of see it. That little red, there's a little red thing right there. That is my power hammer, and I have knife dies in there, and so I can cut out blanks or whatever, and then I can run them through that power hammer hot, and it'll 90% finish a blade edge. Thanks. So these horseshoes, I sell a lot of them to the tourists in town here, but they aren't carbon steel, so they won't harden. They look really cool, but and the tourists love them, but they won't harden. So I call them knife-shaped objects, and I market them as knife-shaped objects. They work good for letter openers. Thanks. I'm pretty proud of it. Took me a long time to earn it. All right, so we'll do a few planishing blows here. You'll notice that I moved the work under the hammer mostly. So that's a knife edge about 80% finished. Something like that. We'll do another one. Kind of use my anvil as a measuring tool. Boy, I'm getting some. See, that's part of the clinker at the bottom, and it sticks to your work, so you got to kind of be careful. And if you hammer it back into your work, then you get this nasty goober in there. Like it's almost like contaminating it with glass. Thank you, I appreciate it. Pardon the airplane noise. The planes fly right over me coming in and out of here. And this is a busy weekend in Cody. The big museum here in town always has their big shindig this weekend. And they're having all the guys in their private jets are flying in. Robert De Niro, if he never made it. Robert De Niro's got more hair than me. Good. I'm glad you can't hear them because they're flying right over this shop. You guys have any questions or anything? I'm more than happy to answer if I can. Okay. want a little more heat in that. The camera doesn't pick up the heat, the color very good. It overexposes the color, something to do with the UV rays coming off of the hot steel. It doesn't show up very well unless you have a good filter. And I'm just using my phone, so I don't have a good filter on here. But I can tell the temperature of the steel by what color it is. And so there's a specific color range that I'm looking for when I'm forging the steel. And when it gets down there around cherry colored, then I'm not going to forge on it anymore because it's more work. You just take chances of breaking it. It's more work. You guys are being dirty. They're holding a bunch of it in review. Bunch of them. There's my color. I ordered some Damascus this week, and I'm going to be doing a very fancy knife. And we'll see what happens, but I might actually go live while I'm building that knife. I'll have to figure out how I'm going to get some internet inside the shop. But if I can, I might show the process on one of these lives this next coming week. Probably not. I won't say yes. I won't say yes. I have no desire. I have no desire to go on Forged in Fire. And I have a lot of experience with television producers at one point in my life. Back in another time in my life, I had a lot of experience being around them and sort of that reality TV thing. And I don't like those people very much, most of them. They'd have to pay me quite a bit of money to step away from my shop for it. Takes 8 days to film. They film that in 8-day sections. So you got to be away from your shop for 8 days. And then they drag you back to Connecticut. And I have no desire to go to Connecticut. And I have no desire to get in a pissing match with a bunch of other blacksmiths. I just don't. So back in 2008, I had a radio show on the public radio station down in Park City, Utah. And the gal I did the radio show with, we did 2 or 3 pilots. We did 2 or 3 pilots for 2 pilots for 2 different TV shows we were looking at doing. And of course, the 08 crash happened, and that all went to hell. It didn't end up happening. But and it was kind of right along with the radio show back at, the internet wasn't so big back then. And so radio was still pretty big. They call this working daffy when you work off this side of the anvil. Here we go. All right, everybody. Heck, it's almost 10 o'clock here. I've been on for an hour and 20 minutes. I think that's plenty. If you guys have any last questions or anything, who cares? I don't know. That says somebody does right there, 100,000 people apparently. So I don't know how many people you got following your channel, but if you're just choosing violence, you can choose it someplace else. I hope somebody gives you a hug. Guess I ought to go get me a marshmallow. That coke burns really cleanly, and that's why I use coke instead of coal. I've got some coal here, but it smokes. It just doesn't burn very clean. The coke burns so much cleaner, and where I'm having to ship it in here, it's actually cheaper for me. I get more BTUs out of the coke than I do the coal. So I just order coke in by the bag full. Yeah, I'm very insecure. You can tell, can't you? That's why I'm on YouTube. I'm so where am I like Flava Flav? Yeah, you can tell I'm real insecure. It's a lot faster. I don't have to wait for the fuel to coke up, right? And for those of you who don't know what coke is to coal what charcoal is to wood. So they cook it, and it takes all the coal gases out, and then you end up with almost a pure carbon fuel. So there it is right there. And it looks a lot like coke, but it's almost like glass versus this is the coal. Now the coke won't stay going by itself because you have to have a certain temperature for it to cook. And so in order to get it started, you have to use charcoal. Either charcoal or something to start it. I've never had good luck even starting it with coal. So I generally throw a little charcoal in the bottom of it, and then I put the coke on top, and I don't know if you saw the first of this, if you guys have been around since the first of this, but boy, it just goes, boop, it gets hot about that fast. And then once I turn the air off to it, as long as there's no charcoal in there, it'll go out in a matter of minutes. It'll be out, cold. And that's not something that you can do with coal. Coal will just stay there and smolder all night long, which is a little dangerous. I know. I got to keep pulling it back so I don't melt it, because it's not real steel. It's just plastic with a piece of aluminum over the top of it. But this is a much better size. I think I got one of the first new ones. So they've shrunk them down. Yeah. Well, for a long time I did this work off the back of a truck, like a blacksmith, like a farrier would. I had a place on Main Street in Cody, and I'd just bring the truck in about 3 days a week, back in front of a shop that I used to do business with, and I'd forge there. And everybody hated that coal smoke. And so I just used the coke, and it made everybody happier. And then when I walked away from it, it went out. I didn't have to worry about it. I know. I'm channeling my Flava Flav. I just need some glasses, and I think my hat's kind of cool. I think Flav would appreciate this hat, don't you? Shout out to Flava Flav. No, coal. This is not this. The coal that I'm using It came from a little town called Bear Creek, Montana. Bear Creek's about 40 miles north of here, kind of between here, right halfway between here and Red Lodge. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, really, I've never, if you have hardwood charcoal, and it doesn't matter, back when I was a poor, starving artist, I used to use a lot of pallets. And pallets, a lot of them are made out of alder or birch, whatever. Oak, a lot of times they'll have oak in the middle, and then the slats will be alder. And that charcoal works about as good as anything. Doug fir doesn't work very good. It doesn't coke, or it doesn't charcoal up very good. I like how quiet it is, but it's, I do a lot of production stuff, and doing production stuff with a coal forge is almost impossible. You can't stack 10 things in here. With the gas forge, I can set the regulator and I can keep the temperature on the inside of the forge at a constant temperature, and I don't have to worry about burning up my work. With this coal forge, you got to really watch it. Yeah, I've got a 5-pounder that I use, but you can't use a big hammer like that on a little anvil like this, or it just bucks around. And for doing this light, delicate work, I've been using this style of hammer since 1990. They're made by Diamond. They call it a turning hammer or a rounding hammer. It's got a flat face on it and a little bit of a round face on it. And it's about 2.5 pounds. And for me, that's about perfect. A lot of guys farriers will use a smaller hammer sometimes. Depends on what kind of horses they're doing. If they're doing big draft horses, they might use something a little bigger. But if they're just doing saddle horses, they'll use about a 2-pound hammer a lot of times. This is all about 2.5. But I've been using that same style of hammer since I went to farrier school. And so I've got about 5 or 6 of them, and they don't actually make this style anymore. But if you're going to have one hammer, if you're going to blacksmith and you're going to have one hammer, this is the hammer you should have. You should have a rounding hammer or a turning hammer. They call them a rounding hammer in farrier work and horseshoeing work. They call them a turning hammer in blacksmithing. But I wouldn't recommend using anything bigger than that until you get your hammer control down. See, I got one leg a little longer, but I use my anvil face to kind of measure. So I can tell by eye because I've done so many of them, but I'll also use my hammer or the anvil face to kind of measure to make sure I'm getting those 2 legs the same length. And I'm not going to finish this tonight. This is going to be a steer head. I'm doing his horns right now, and I'm not going to finish it tonight, but I'll keep going answering some questions here. Thanks, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, you can learn a lot if you just go watch my channel. I've got over 1,000 videos on there. And so you could just kind of spin through there and just start at the old stuff and kind of work new. The whole thing that changed with me with the YouTube is the shorts. The short videos, that really changed. That's what got me this, was the short videos. So, and I produce some long, I try to do at least one long video, like a 5 or 8 minute video, 10-minute video a week, but I'm do this all with my phone. I don't even have a computer, so to get 100,000 subscribers with your phone and not a computer. Oh, and I'm old, and I'm 53 years old. So, okay, boomer, right? I'm an Xer, but everybody, you know. I know, isn't that great? See, I even put a ring on it, and then I soldered the ring shut. Hello. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's dope. Okay, so see how I drew those out? It started as that. See how I just split it? I split it with the saw, and then I drew it out like that. Okay, so now they're square, and now I'm going to take the corners down. We're going to round them up. But when you're drawing stuff out, you want to draw stuff out in the square. You end up with a much more even taper. It's a lot less work. Trying to draw stuff out and keep it round at the same time never works out. So if you're going to do a taper like that, you want to draw it out square and then round it up. And you're going to gain a little bit of length when you do that. Thanks. I'm not going to put no more fuel in this forge. I'm just going to kind of use up what I got. I'm going to kind of push everything else back. And when I run out of fuel and I run out, then that's when we're done. How about that? That work for everybody? Can you touch it? Well, I can get my hand fairly close to it, but I am tough. This is 36 years, man. I am used to the heat. The inside of that fire right now is probably 1,800 degrees right in the center of it. So you aren't going to hold your hand there very long. You put your play button in the fire. How about that? I work too dang hard for mine. Thanks. Okay, there. Now you can see it. See how it's octagon now? This one's square and this one's octagon. I was a professional horse trainer for about 30 years. I had to put my last horse down here about 2 or 3 years ago, but my folks still have horses. And so anytime I need to get a horse fix, I just go out to my folks' ranch. They still have about 16 head of horses, so I'm always out there helping them do stuff, vaccinating and helping with the colts and all that stuff. Grandpa, what are you doing here? Well, you little child baby, what are you doing here? Who do you think invented YouTube? Not you little snot nose wet behind the ears. Okay, so now I'm going to round that up. With some plantishing blows. There you can see it. The difference. That one's round, that one's square. We'll do the other one now. Yeah, and Steve Mosk is older than me. So, there you go. Hey! Boom. Children. Kid, I was probably banging your mom in high school. If you're lucky and you're not too stupid, you might get to live as long as me. But if you're dumb, brother, you got a long road ahead of you. I love feeding the trolls because they can't out troll me. I've been on YouTube for, I think I did my first video 10 years ago. Some of these kids weren't even alive then. They certainly didn't know what the YouTubes was. Thanks. We're working on a steer head. So we're working on his horns right now. So there we got him pretty even. So see, my fire's pretty small now, so what I might do is I might try to do a courtesy bend, and I'll show you what his head's going to look like. We'll bend his head over. I don't know how far we're going to get on this. We're kind of running out of fuel here, but I'm not going to add any more. You're very welcome. If you like what I'm doing, share it and subscribe and do all of that stuff that they tell you to do. If you like it. Thank you, man. It was hard earned. One of these nights, I'm going to go take all the guys that helped me get it to, we're going to have a party, and I'm going to wear it downtown. All right. Got to be careful not to burn up my And there you can see he's starting to look like a steer. And this is where we're doing this in this coal forge gets tricky, because it's really easy to burn those horns off. That's why it's a good thing to do at the end when you're letting your fire down. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll bend the horns up so they're not in the fire. Cool. Yeah, the miner's lamp thing, it took me over the top. But I love that old school stuff, and on my channel I do a lot of that stuff. A lot of old hand saws and a lot of old tools. I love history. I love teaching people about it too. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You like my Flava Flav? There, see how I got his neck hot? See right there, I'm using the round face of that hammer, and I'm kind of sculpting up his nose. See? I'm going to dry him up a little bit. I'm going to put his nose down in the fire this time. And what I'll do is I'll kind of taper him out a little bit, fill in where that fold is. We're quickly running out of fuel. No, I didn't forge the play button. I earned it. I earned it. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend. I'm going to go celebrate my whoop, whoop. See, he just gets a little more like a steer and a little more like a steer every time. So I can do his nose, but I can't do his... I can do his nose, but I can't do his eyes and stuff because I don't have the right punch over here. But I can get you a pretty good... I can get you a semblance of what he's going to look like. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the subscribes. No, I don't speak Arabic. Shit, I barely speak English. I speak just enough Spanish to get me in trouble, and that's it. right, so let me get my... So you can't buy the specialty punches that you need down at Ace, so you have to learn how to make your own. And this one's made out of a piece of sucker rod. And sucker rod is the rod that goes in like an oil well that they use to pump the oil out of the ground. It connects to the jack that's on the top of the ground, and it goes in up and down, and that's where the union was, where they thread together, and you cut it off, and it's really good tool steel. That tool's probably 15 years old, and you can see it's been used some, but it's got a lot of life left in it yet. That half inch is hard to come by. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that horn, if it's straight, put that horn in the party hole like that. And then there, you can see where I put his little nose in him. And I'll put him back in. I'll straighten up that other horn so it doesn't affect me when I put him back in there, and then I'll do the other side of his nose. I've probably done 800 of these steer heads, probably. Like I said, I generally do them in groups. Hello. Well, we're rolling into almost 2 hours here. So before I get out of here, I'll go back and I'll show everybody the projects that we did tonight. Let me get this other one done here. So I left him long, and I do this a lot. So you notice I'm not using a set of tongs. This is he's awkward to forge, and they're awkward to hold in a set of tongs. And so what I generally do is I do them in pairs, and I do one at one end of the bar and one at the other end of the bar. And that keeps me from having, so like right there, I'm going to have to hold him with my thigh. Like that. Now all he's missing is his eyes, and there's the steer head. So I'll put the eyes on him tomorrow. So there's the steer head. So we start with the bar. I slit the bar. These fat bars like this, I'll just run them through the bandsaw. And then we draw his horns out. Then we fold him over. And we do his face. Okay. Let me shut this forge off. I might as well let this cool off while I'm standing here. And then we did a couple of knife blanks with the horse face on them, like that. So that's a knife blank, about 80% done or 90% done. You can see his cute little happy little horse face there, like Bob Ross. Happy little horse face. We did a couple of those. That's one horseshoe, a right and a left. Okay. And then we did a set. We did a set of wall hooks out of 9-inch nails with leaves. Notice how I got them both, and they're a match set, see? one left and one right. Okay, we did those. And then we used another horseshoe. And we did 2 hoof picks. These are tools for cleaning hooves on horses. And we did the little horse faces on them. And that's what we did today, this evening. In 2 hours, we managed to do that work in just almost exactly an hour and 50 minutes. So complete with a lot of screwing around. Now, if I had been doing the gas forge, I would have done 5 times that amount of work. But you wouldn't have been able to hear me because the forge is loud. And this is nice and quiet, and it's kind of zen-y, kind of like Zen. It's nice, relaxing. So nice. Let's see if my clinker's solid it up. Bottom of this sucker. Yep, there it is. Okay, so when you burn this fuel, the coke has some mineral in it. And the mineral gathers up at the bottom, it pools up at the bottom, and it turns into this. And this is what they call a clinker. And it's almost like glass when it cools off. Oh, I mean, you guys, you got 1,000 places that you can, there's 1,000 channels on YouTube that you can do that. And I'm not putting up with it. Go to somebody else's channel and do that. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. I'm going to smoke the rest of my cigar. We're going to wait for this forge to go out all the way. Now that that forge is out, we can come here in the shop. There's the blacksmith shop partially. There's one of my hair hammers. One of my power hammers is there. There's another one over here that we built. Here's one of the saws I use. So yeah. We do all kinds of tools. I do axes. I do throwing knives when I don't get them too hard. This was an experiment. This was a piece of saw blade, and we were throwing it the other night, and whoops, it was a little too hard. I busted it. It happens. So you guys are being a bit naughty. AI is pretty good at moderating all of those nasty comments that you guys are leaving. So, hello. Thanks, ma'am. All right, I think I've had enough tonight. I'm going to go. It's just about an old man's bedtime. It's 10:30 here. So, hello, hello, hello. So you guys have a good evening. Get it hot and hit it. Always wear your safety squints. If you like the content, there's where you need to go. Cody Iron Works. Here's another one. Whoa, I'm knocking off the wall. All right, good night, everybody. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Watch out for my lives. I'm going to try to do 1 or 2 a week. We'll do some different projects, and we'll talk about anvils and education stuff. You're very welcome. Thanks, everybody.